And they said, "Men, why are you doing this? We too are human beings subject to the same mortality as you, giving you the good news to turn away from this pointless idolatry back to the living God, who made heaven and the earth and the sea and everything in them, who in the generations gone by allowed all the nations to go their own ways. Although even then he did not leave himself without a witness, giving you rains from heaven and productive seasons, filling your bodies with sustenance and your hearts with joy." Acts 14:15 through 17. On the other hand, it is also true that these past 2 millennia have seen a corresponding increase in satanic activity, not overt demon possession and idolatry per se, but the steady laying of the groundwork for the next Tower of Babel, morally, politically, socially indeed, in every aspect of the world system which the present ruler of this cosmos has established. That system is not merely a static device for present world rule, it is also the devil's organizational base for his ultimate offensive, de facto world domination through the person of his Antichrist. It is thus a base of operations which he is doing his best to develop in specific preparation for that day. This is the accelerating mystery of lawlessness, only too visible in our own day, which is aiming toward that final gambit to be played out in earnest during the tribulation. Even now you know what it is that restrains Antichrist, so that he will be revealed only in his own time. For the mystery of lawlessness, anomia, is already at work. It is only the restrainer who keeps things in check and will until he moves out of the way. And then the lawless one, anomos, will be revealed. 2 Thessalonians 2:6 through 8. By linking lawlessness to the revelation of Antichrist in the context quoted, and by using near-identical cognate vocabulary to describe the two, Antichrist is the lawless one, anomos, while lawlessness itself is anomia, Paul makes it crystal clear that this lawlessness, which we are already experiencing, is a prerequisite preparation for the coming of the lawless one, that is, Antichrist. That preparation, the devil's progressive inroads into human society at all levels and in all places, is already at work, but cannot be entirely completed until the Spirit's restraint is allowed to wane as the tribulation begins, part of the divine plan to demonstrate Satan's true intentions and ultimate impotence. We find a similar meaning in the Apostle John's comments about the spirit of Antichrist, which he describes as already active in his day, even though Antichrist himself will not be revealed until the tribulation begins, 1 John 4:3. Moreover, the very fact that many Antichrists are active in the present age is proof positive that we are on the threshold of the tribulation. Children, it is now the final hour, and just as you have heard that Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have arisen. That is how we know it is the last hour. 1 John 2:18. The church age, therefore, finds the devil restrained from launching his final supreme offensive, but in full preparation mode for rapid implementation of his plans just as soon as the opportunity is presented, with the breaking of the seals of the book of Revelation and removal of divine restraint, 2 Thessalonians 2:6 through 8. The removal of divine restraint, without which action on God's part Satan's tribulational operations would be impossible, is a topic that will be covered in detail in the next part of this series. Suffice it to say for now that this fact alone, that is, no tribulation without divine permission, proves that the tribulation, far from being an accident, is, on the contrary, an essential period in God's construction of the ages, in the course of which the devil's wickedness and true intentions will be laid completely bare, while God gains surpassing glory in subduing the creature in preparation for the glorious reign of his Son, Psalm 110:1. Apropos of our immediate purpose here is the fact that this removal of restraint, coupled with the devil's exploitation of this unique opportunity, does much to explain the outrageous and unprecedented events that will take place during the tribulation. For at other times in human history, breaking the bonds that God has set for human or angelic behavior has resulted in predictable divine judgment of a preventative nature. This is true whether the offenders who overstep the ultimate bounds of divine restraint be angels, witness the imprisonment of the demons involved in cohabitation with human women in Genesis 6, or men, Compare the swift and complete destruction of Sennacherib and his army for defying God, Isaiah 36 and 37. The preceding parenthetical examples constitute extreme cases of the general principle of just judgment upon any and all who set themselves against God's truth and overstep the clear limits he has imposed. God's wrath is about to be revealed from heaven upon all ungodliness and unrighteousness, on men who suppress the truth about God in their unrighteousness. Romans 1:18. In the tribulation, however, previously restrained lawlessness will reach unprecedented heights, the full flowering of the mystery of lawlessness already operative, but destined to reach full flood in the tribulation. The experience of the Pharaoh of the Exodus provides us with a useful parallel for understanding the processes involved here. Specific divine relaxation of normal human limits was required in order for Pharaoh to be able to harden his heart to the degree that he did in such high-handed opposition to God in the face of such miraculous displays of his power. However, the result of all Pharaoh's stubborn resistance was only a greater degree of glory for God, as uncommon persecution was followed by uncommon judgment and miraculous deliverance. Exodus 14:4 and Isaiah 63:12 through 14. Indeed, for this very reason I have raised you, Pharaoh, up, namely to demonstrate my power to you, and to proclaim my name in all the earth. Exodus 9:16. This similarity between the removal of restraint in the individual case of Pharaoh and general removal of restraint in the tribulation is not accidental. The entire history of the Exodus provides an important teaching paradigm or parallel model for the experiences of the tribulation. In the tribulation, intensely blind hardness of heart will be endemic, allowing the majority of mankind to serve the devil as never before. Greatly accelerating the danger of this trend will be the fact that the bulwarks of law and nationalism will also be eroded as never before, largely eliminating any safe haven of neutrality for those who are not interested in choosing for God, but who, under normal conditions, would refrain from enlistment in the cause of evil. Taken together, all these factors, removal of divine restraint, the fruition of the mystery of lawlessness, the implementation of Satan's final offensive, and the corresponding divine judgment upon it, will combine to make the 7 years of the tribulation a singularly terrible experience that will truly be bitter in the stomach. Revelation 10:9 and 10. While the tribulation may be a time of terror for unbelievers, for believers, it is more properly seen as a time of testing. Given this most essential characteristic of the tribulation, the essence of what we have delineated, it should be clear at this point that the proper focus for believers in contemplating it, not to mention preparing for it, is not fear, but faith and confident hope in God's ultimate deliverance. The information Scripture provides about tribulational events before the fact is not designed to terrorize Christians into inaction. Rather, its purpose is to give them fair warning in order that they may both make maximum spiritual preparations ahead of time and also be able to put these events in a proper faith perspective when and if they are called upon to endure them. During the tribulation, Satan will reveal more clearly than ever before his true malignant intent towards mankind, Revelation 12:12 and 13:5 through 10, and in righteous response, God will cover himself with glory in just judgment of evil upon the earth, Isaiah 24:1 through 23 and Micah 7:13. In the midst of such a maelstrom, human beings will not easily be able to remain neutral. The question, which side are you on, though being asked today, is often put off. In the course of the tribulation, however, all mankind will be forced to give an answer, and to stand by the answer they give. And he said to me, "Do not seal up the words of this book's prophetic message, for the time is near. Let the unrighteous continue to act unrighteously, and him who is filthy continue in his filthiness, and let the righteous continue to produce righteousness, and him who is sanctified continue in his sanctification." Revelation 22:10 and 11.